Welcome back, folks, to another episode of the College Baseball Show. I'm joined today by Jared Perkins and Will Mossa. How we doing, fellas? Jared, how we doing, man?
Oh, it's living a dream. Ready to talk some college baseball. We're a month away from opening day
We are like
at this point?
38 days away, man. And when
Nuts.
we're recording this, obviously it's going to come out later, but we are very, very excited. Will got a top shirt on. I love it, man. The
Oh,
feel's high.
I'm so ready, and we're finally in the portion of the offseason where we get to talk about real baseball instead of just dream teams. I love doing that stuff, but we're at the point where we can actually sit down, talk about rosters, talk about the teams, talk about outlook. So this is a really, really fun time of year. It's very chaotic from our standpoint, but man, it's a lot of fun, and it just means we're one day closer to opening day.
Seeing a lot of players and coaches getting back to campus, and it's very exciting. We're getting down to it. I cannot wait. So, folks, if you don't know, this is the first of many preview shows. This one here is going to be all the mid majors that are not Sunbelt. We're going to do a special episode for the Sunbelt Conference because it's just got way too much packed in it to be considered mid major this year. I mean, we've joked about it, but that it could be the third best conference in baseball this year. It could be when we went through it. So we separated it out. Sunbelt's going to have its own show, but we're going to do different regions here and just kind of tell you guys the mid majors to keep an eye on because it's a great part of college baseball. And with the new roster limitations down to 34 and all the transfer portals and everything, these teams are getting good fast. They pick up players and they are really, really talented. So I can't wait. I know that we're going to talk about each region here. Will, I'm going to let you start. Tell us just a couple programs in the Southwest that we should be keeping an eye out in for this mid major season.
Yeah, it's really tough to not talk about UTSA coming off a super regional appearance. They finished with 47 wins last year. This team is absolutely stacked, and they actually return a lot. Robert Orlowski, their number one starter last year, 72 innings to a 3.36 ERA, is back. They return a ton on offense, including Andrew Detzleffen, who was top 5 in RBIs, I believe, and he put together a 977 OPS. This team is really, really fun. They were really fun last year. It was Jared's darling. He was rooting for them the whole way through the Roadrunners. Man, they're going to be really fun again. I wouldn't be surprised to see them get a 2 seed again. I think they're going to be right in there in the mix. They're going to be really dangerous in the postseason. It's a team that I think is kind of taking over that premier Texas mid-major spot, which is dethroning the other team I want to talk about too in Dallas Baptist, because we all know what they do. Dallas Bombers. Dan Hefner is one of the best coaches in mid-major baseball, if not the best. Just truly an offensive mind, better than most. It's unbelievable what he's built at Dallas Baptist. They're a top 15 program historically. They're unbelievable. 41 wins last year. They do lose a good amount, mostly on the pitching side. James Ellwanger and Micah Bucknam, they're kind of 1-2 punch from last year, both gone. Micah was obviously an LSU transfer. Ellwanger was kind of their guy, but they've kind of built this model where they have one workhorse every single year, and they kind of figure out the bullpen pieces as the season goes on. But man, does this team just mash. And they return a good chunk of starters. They return 5 guys on offense. They're going to hit a lot of home runs. They're going to drive in a ton of runs. And Ryan Broberg is back. And he was their best arm last year statistically. He made 15 starts last year to a 3.38, 79 strikeouts in 80 innings. Obviously, Ellwanger was their big strikeout guy. We've seen them always have one funky dude that nobody can seem to hit, and Ellwanger was that guy last year. So I think Broberg has a big shoes to fill, really. And he was really good last year. But when you don't have 3 elite starters, and at least at this point, like, we don't know who that's going to be right now. So when you don't have that full rotation kind of going into the season, there's going to be some question marks around the staff. But if there's anything that Dan Hefner does, it's win, and it's find his way into the postseason. I'd be shocked to not see them there when it's all said and done.
Yeah, final season for DBU before they get into the Pac-12. And, Texas State's going to be joining another Texas powerhouse team that's had some really good outings lately. You talk about it, Will, when you talk about it, pitching, right? So you're talking about some guys that are returning a bunch of innings for pitching. Maybe not all the innings, but they're returning some important people to work on that weekend. It's really important when you look at that. Jared, you want to throw in something on those teams?
No, I was going to just talk about UTSA too, just because I was super on the Roadrunners bandwagon in the playoffs. But this is the team that made sure they locked up their head coach, Pat Hallmark, as well, gave him an extension through 2029. He's going to get a base salary of $350 for 2025, 2026. That can get to a $425K salary in his final year. Well-deserved. Like, he's 187 and 111 in his 6 seasons at UTSA. He's really built this program up to be something special, and I'm just excited to see what they can do again this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited for both those teams, Will. That's a great take on both those squads there in the Southwest. Let's move over here to the Northeast. I'm going to let Jared talk about some prolific teams up there. We've had some really good teams. Northeastern comes to mind. There's been some really talented NJIT, and you just passed. Like, there's been some really highly talented teams in the Northeast, which is tough to play baseball in. The weather's not great. It's really tough to get guys up there. But, Jared, talk about some teams that we should be keeping an eye out for up there.
Yeah, the first one I'm going to talk about is because I have to. The Rhode Island Rams. Being a Rhode Islander, just seeing what Rafael Serrato has done with this program. This is a team that just wasn't really talked about in college baseball whatsoever. Last year, they go 31-22. They go 23-7 in the Atlantic 10. No one could touch them. As soon as I saw them in that series against the Oregon Ducks, where they only won 1 out of 3, but they should have probably taken 2 out of 3. They had that insane 10-inning game that Tristan Levesque pitched and went 10 innings to shut out baseball, which is absolutely absurd. It's just an impressive program that they've built over the years. Now, I think they're going to have a lot of struggles on the mound and trying to figure out what's going to be there on the mound. They had a team ERA, I think, like north of 6 last year. So the bats were really what kept them going. And like that's kind of what their power was. They broke so many records, and they lost senior Anthony DiPino, who was a significant part of that Rams lineup. He had 20 home runs and 71 RBIs last year, but they do return 2 massive offensive pieces. So Reese Maroney and Jack Hopko. Maroney hit 358 with 12 doubles, 42 RBIs, and 24 stolen bases. Just a super table setter profile with him. And Hopko hit 16 bombs and drove in 83. So like they got some offensive power coming back. They got some transfers in. Brian Connolly from Wake Forest. He might serve as more of like a utility type for them. But they really still have those pieces on the offensive side of the ball. And the Atlantic 10's not known for its pitching. So I think they're going to mash again. I don't know what the arms are going to be. They do bring in Joe Sabbath as a returner. He posted a 3.95 ERA. He struck out 43 batters in 41 innings, notched 8 saves. So he probably returns as the team's closer. But when you look at the starting rotation, they lose Tristan Levesque, who we mentioned. They lose Jeremy Urena. So like I think they're going to have some trouble finding out who's going to replace those guys on the mound. But I really like the Rams.
Yeah, and I got to see them in Eugene, and it was crazy, that series. I'm like, who's this? Like, Oregon's like, hey, we scheduled them. We knew they're kind of tough, but we thought it'd be a good game for us. And I was like, okay, is this one of those where you're trying to schedule it early? You only get 4 non-conference weekend series. It was a battle, and it really tested the Ducks early, and then that Duck team took off. So it even spoke more about how good that Rhode Island team was. To go to Eugene, it's not easy to win down there in PK. Yeah,
and I got one more team I want to talk about on the East too, on the UConn Huskies. I was going to go Georgetown because they're in my area, but the team that won that like 19 games last year, I feel like probably should go a different route. Actually, they only won 11 games, I think. But we'll go with the UConn Huskies. 38-21 last year, 17-3 in conference. And this was kind of like a down year for the Huskies. Like they kind of got off to somewhat of a slow start. I believe they missed the playoffs as well, if I'm right. Yeah, they didn't make a regional. They are a team that I've always been impressed with. Jim Penders for years has had winning season after winning season. I think we're about 3 years removed for them being in a super regional against Stanford, where they lost, I think, 2 out of 3 to that one. But this is a team that I saw in that year, went to a regional and just dominated the Maryland regional. They dominated a Wake Forest team that had Rhett Lauder and Teddy McGraw on the bump. They dominated a Maryland team that had a pretty solid rotation and some of the best bats in the lineup. And now they just come into this year with one of the best players potentially in college baseball in Tyler Minnick, who slashed an insane 355, 437, 734 with 11 doubles, 22 home runs, 74 RBIs, and 50 stolen bases. Basically MLB The Show type numbers if you're putting it on easy. He's going to go into the outfield, it sounds like, for this team this year. That's just going to be massive for them. The offense is going to be clicking on all cylinders. I just really, really like this UConn team. Pitching staff, they returned Charlie West on the mound. He posted a 2.58 ERA with 59 strikeouts over 52 to 30 innings. And they're also bringing back Oliver Pudvar, who tossed 70 innings for them and striking out 73. So they returned some firepower to the mound. They got Caden Succi, who's coming back from injury, should be healthy for them, who's another solid arm for this rotation. I just think they've got the veteran staff. It's a team like Penders. The one thing I love that he does is they don't play a home game until May. They're going to have a high RPI because they're going to be on the road for like 2 months, basically. They go to the MLB Desert Invitational, where they'll have games against Arizona State, Arizona, and then they have a non-con schedule at North Carolina, and then they hit the West Coast and basically go Portland, Cal, Santa Clara, San Jose State, and San Diego State, and then they come home. So it's going to be an insane run for them on the road, but I'm just really excited to see what this UConn team can do.
Yeah, Jared, to your point, I mean, this is a team that historically has been unbelievable. And you mentioned that one regional. You also remember they were in a regional at Duke a couple of years ago where they beat Jonathan Santucci and that whole team with Ben Miller, and that Duke team was loaded. That was a team that I truly thought was going to be on an Omaha run, and they ran into a UConn team that rolled out 7 former Division III guys, and they go out and they win the regional. I mean, what Jim Penders has been able to do from a recruiting standpoint in terms of picking out D3 talent, because every single year they have multiple guys in that lineup that play Division III baseball. It's just a different type of player development that we don't see in a lot of D1 baseball. And UConn has kind of perfected that model of taking really good Division III players in the Northeast, which is a really good region for that, and turning those guys into teams that are in super regionals, which is unbelievable. And I've got a Big East team on my list as well later on, but we got to talk about how good the Big East was last year. I mean, they should have had 3 teams in the regional. UConn and Xavier both got snubbed in terms of RPI and the records last year. It was a team that should not have just gotten the champion in Creighton, but this is a conference that is really strong. It's going to be really fun at the top again this year too.
Yeah,
I feel bad because I was going to say in the Northeast, it's loaded with talent that you don't even think about, because I didn't even get to talk about Northeastern. So like that was a 49-win team last year. We didn't even get to touch on them. The Northeast is just such sneakily good at baseball, and not enough people talk about it.
Yeah, it's not spoken of highly, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the show. We were very high on supporting some of these mid-major teams. We are going to have articles that are releasing with this, so you will be able to go out and read our full breakdowns of several of these teams. Now, we didn't do every team in every mid-major because we're not writing about 300 teams right now, but we did want to get you guys some info on some of the really great teams out there and keep an eye on them. I remember, Will, that UConn, they were up 10-8 on Stanford in that super regional and 2 outs away from winning that super regional right there. And then the home run and the walk-off, it was insane. And that was late at night because it was 9 p.m. start time out in Stanford. It was awesome. It was dramatic baseball. Jim Pender's got a great team there in UConn.
That UConn roster that year was like, you looked at 1 through 4. They took advantage of the COVID era rules, and it was like grad transfer. It was like 24, 25-year-olds just smoking balls off of like 19, 20-year-olds.
Yeah. These guys that have played 5 years of college baseball, 1 more year, let's put it back. Oh man, guys from the Harvards and Yales that are like, well, can't play grad ball, we're gonna go play UConn. Ivy League studs. I love it. I'm gonna talk about the West Coast. Obviously, me being the West Coast guy and being out here on the West Coast. One team I want to spotlight, and I know Jared, I was laughing when you said 19-win teams. I'm going to talk about a 20-win team in San Diego State University. They added Coach Kevin Vance in the offseason. He was really excited. If you guys don't know, pitching coach from Arizona. And if you know anything about Arizona last year, that pitching staff was filthy. He got a lot out of those guys. Those guys are back. There's a lot of good ones there. But he went out and hit the portal immediately. He goes and adds 7 players from Oregon State, gets Zach Justice from Oregon, Reeve Boyd from Washington, goes out and gets Rohan Leto from Arizona State. He loads up an entire bullpen, couple weekend rotation guys, and he goes and gets them all in the portal. Tice Peterson played games and was a starter in Omaha for Oregon State last year, and he goes out and gets them in the transfer portal. Kevin Vance has done a terrific job. I think that it's between them and Nevada this year again for that Mountain West title, and really these 2 teams can make some noise. But Coach Kevin Vance and being at San Diego State, getting the opportunity to finally be a head coach, very excited for this. He does return 3 outfielders in Jake Johnson, Drew Rudder, and Zane Kelly, and he didn't know who he's going to get back from this roster, because anytime you have a coach change like that, and with the transfer portal today, you could turn over a whole roster. That's a lot of talent coming back. Gage Adams also catcher. And then he returns Garvey Rummery, a left-handed pitcher on the mound. I mean, this team could be really, really good. It's time to keep an eye on them. They're going to go out and play some good competition. It's going to be fun to see them play in Seattle at Washington earlier this year. So we're going to be able to see how good the San Diego State team is early off in this season. I cannot wait. I think that they're going to be really talented. I know, Jared, we were talking about Kevin Vance and doing this thing and being out there on a new team. Your feelings on him at San Diego State? I feel like it's a good fit.
My only feelings are I'm just mad you didn't talk about the Wolfpack. I'm just kidding.
Listen, I'm pumped. Another head coach that changed. Jordan Getzelman getting the chance to be the head coach out there. Yamaguchi out there, Sean Yamaguchi. He's going to be a terrific player, freshman All-American, huge Mountain West player last year. He's going to be a stud for them. But I had to go with San Diego State with the new change in Kevin Vance. I'm very excited about that. Another team that I saw.
I was gonna say my only thoughts on San Diego State, just coming from the WAC from back in the day, and this is a team that's always been good at college baseball. They have a history of being really good. They had Steven Strasburg there that's a legend. They were coached by Tony Gwynn for a long time. It's just a really, really good program, and it's got a history of winning baseball games. And so you really want to see them get back to the premier program that they were. I think when's the last time they had a winning season? I'd have to go back until they had 17 wins in 24 and 23. So it's been quite a while since they've been back at the top of the division. And so it'd be nice to see them really kind of eclipse that with their new head coach.
And now, again, another team heading to the Pac-12 next year. So it's going to be interesting to see what Kevin Vance does here in his first year there. I'm going to go out to another team that's probably not spoken of as much. Coach Mark Maktoff at Gonzaga. He's had some really good baseball teams in his career, and they always seem to compete for a WCC title. They have made some noise against really good teams. They've beaten the Oregons. They beat the Oregon States. They've gone out there and beat Washington State. They beat these teams in the Northwest, and they do it handily. And Coach Maktoff has been there for a long time, 27 years. Really, really good head coach. We love seeing him out there. This team returns so much that's why I had to put them as my WCC favorites. I think that they're going to go out there and really have a chance to dominate the West Coast Conference this year. They returned Player of the Year Mikey Bell, Landon White, Hudson Shute, Ryder Young, Bo Shingle, Tommy Eisenstadt, Jacob Wroblewski, Noah Murford. And that's just the players they return on offense. That's crazy. They're returning almost an entire offensive lineup. This team struggled early and got going late. The pitching staff was what really killed them last year, but they had a lot of young guys. Finbar O'Brien, Kirsten Swim, Eric Hoffberg. These guys are coming back, and they're going to be really nasty. They're going to be really, really good for this team. Mix in some of these freshmen that are coming to Gonzaga. I think that this team's going to compete for not just the WCC title, but I think that they're going to make some noise out west compared to years past for these WCC teams. And we've seen WCC teams in the West Coast Conference really take it to teams in regionals and really scare them. I mean, San Diego was a really good team last year, and they had some talent. They got drafted really high. I think that this is another Gonzaga team that's going to really show for WCC. And then, of course, I could talk about Hawaii out Big West. I'm not going to. I'm going to speak about another team that I think is a little bit under the radar for how good they finished last season. Cal State Fullerton is a team that is, when they are good at baseball, college baseball in general is just better. I really stress that. When the Titans are good at baseball, it really makes the entire country better at college baseball. I love it. Jason Dietrich out there. He had a roster that had struggled to start last year. They were no doubt not good. They had a hard time starting. They finished 19-11 in conference and get to the Big West tournament for the first time with that tournament being held. I think that we're going to surprise some people. They got a lot of people returning. You guys might remember Andrew Kirshner. He's going to be an outfielder again for them. He hit 4 home runs in the series against Oregon State. Dude is really, really good at baseball. They are loaded up on offense. They have a ton of arms returning also. This is a team that's really senior heavy loaded. They also pulled a bunch of people from the Big West, other teams. They loaded up in the portal along with the teams that they have coming back. This is a senior and junior loaded team that had some underclassmen last year and sophomores that really grew. I like Cal State Fullerton moving forward. Will, I see you nodding with me. You're like, yeah, when Cal State Fullerton's good, when the Titans are good, it's awesome baseball.
Yeah, it's, to me, it gives me the vibes of when I started watching college baseball when Long Beach and Fullerton were both really good, and you get that super intense rivalry every season. That's what I love about West Coast baseball. And you're right. When those two teams specifically are good, it's so much more fun. Those are mid-major battles that are truly appointment television. And I think Fullerton, to your point, is going to be getting back to one of the most historically winning programs in the sport.
Two teams that I've just frustrated me that they're not good at college baseball anymore is Cal State Fullerton and Arizona State. Because they have historically been amazing. Cal State Fullerton's won 4 College World Series championships. I don't think anybody knows that who watches college baseball today, unless they're old and then watched it back in the day.
Am I old?
I'm old too because I watched that 2004 run as a kid. That's when Cal State Fullerton was so good. They were in every regional for like the early 2000s. What was it, like 2007 through like 2018? Basically, they were in a regional every single year. And so
Every
like
year.
it's just been so long since we've seen Cal State Fullerton back in that prominence. I think the last they did make an NCAA tournament appearance in 23, but it's like the same with Arizona State. Like Arizona State won College World Series after College World Series. When I was there in 09, they won like 50 games that year. And now they just like they're getting better. Like Willie Bloomquist has started to really turn that program around. But like I want to see these two programs like back in prominence.
Yeah, and you're starting to see programs put money back into it that had these historic programs, and because they're starting to get those donors back that are at the age of, hey, I can give back and remember when these guys were good. That's what you're going to start seeing, I think, in the San Diego States, the Cal State Fullertons, and Arizona State. And we didn't even talk about Hawaii. We didn't talk about UC Irvine. Like, there's teams in there that are 35 to 45 wins that we're not even talking about on this one. So
I'm just
there's
glad
so
you
much
didn't
out
make
west.
Oregon State a mid-major.
They are in the article. They're in the article, but I didn't want to talk about them. I mean, they're going to get enough talk about them. We know that they're one of those teams that's going to be in the top 25. I wanted to pinpoint some of these other teams that I think are really, really good out west. There's a lot to talk about, but there's more to talk about here for you guys. We're going to dive in. Will, tell me about these teams in the Midwest. There's a lot. There's some good ones. I know that there's a bunch out there. I know you have a few in mind right now that you want to tell me.
I do, yeah. As the resident college baseball fanatic in the Midwest, where quite honestly there isn't a lot of baseball, and more specifically, there's not a lot of mid-major baseball in the Midwest. You know, outside of the Horizon League, it's pretty slim pickings in the Midwest. But I've got two teams that I'm really excited about. I got to highlight a handful in the article, but the first one is going to be the regular season and tournament champions of the Big East. Like I just mentioned, the Creighton Blue Jays finished 46-16 last year, 17-4 overall. This is a really fun team. And we talk about so much about how these mid-majors kind of get pillaged by the portal. That hasn't really been the case with a lot of the teams that we're talking about. The talent retention, as I'm going through like region to region, has actually been really solid. And yes, Creighton loses 5 of their 8 qualified hitters from last year. They would still return 4 starters, which is going to be really fun. They returned junior catcher Connor Capecchi, who started 45 games last year, drove in 41 runs with an 897 OPS as a catcher. That's big time to return. He's going to be able to manage the staff again. They return a lot of guys. Ben North is back. He led the team in home runs and in extra base hits. On the mound, they bring back 2/3 of their rotation. That's the key for these teams. When these teams can retain pitching, especially as they get older, that's when these teams get really, really fun. Wilson Majors is back. He led the team in innings with 72 2/3. He made 14 starts as a true freshman. He threw to a 3.47 ERA for a 47-win team, did not get pillaged in the portal. That's when these programs really start to make noise, is when you get to keep guys like that in-house. He's back. They return a lot of bullpen arms, as well as their Saturday starter from last year, senior Ian Kuzman, who made 19 appearances and 10 starts, held opposing batters to a 222 average. The Big East is going to be a lot of fun this year. I'm going to be honest. I can't believe they didn't get more teams in. I know Xavier was UConn felt like the forgotten one last year. Everyone was really up in arms about Xavier's RPI because they scheduled so tough out of conference and they didn't get in with their very solid record as well. This is going to be really fun at the top. I wouldn't be surprised to see that race in the top 3 be within a game again like it was last year. I believe all 3 teams finished within 2 games of each other. So I'm really excited about Creighton. And they get to play in Omaha. They play where the College World Series is played. So, I mean, at some point, right, they got to break down the wall. My second
Not getting
team
pillaged
here
is the biggest part, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about teams. It's hard because, these Power 4 programs, they go out and they go, oh, man, I got to go get a guy like a Ben North who can come help me right now. And these guys all said, no, we want to be a part of this program. We're a championship winning program. We want to be a part. We want to stick together. So, yeah, I love it, Will.
I'm really excited. This is going to be my hot take team of the year. In the Missouri Valley, last year we saw America's team, Murray State, make the Omaha run. Don't forget about Missouri State. Joey Hawkins as head coach was in his first year last year and tied for the regular season title with Murray State. They finished 30-25 last year, 17-8 in the conference. This team returns 6 of their 9 starters. Yes, they lost 3 really big ones. They lost their 2 OPS leaders on offense in Nick Rodriguez and Jake McCutcheon. They lost a lot of their production. They lost 33% of their RBIs production from just those 3 guys, and they lost 46% of their stolen bases from last year. But they returned 6 starters on offense. Junior outfielder Caden Bogenpole is one of the best mid-major bats out there. He finished his sophomore season with over a 1.0 OPS, 13 home runs, 44 RBI. He's going to be in the middle of the order. This Missouri State team has always been known for hitting, and they're going to continue to do that, especially with so many returning guys. They bring back two-way guys, Max Knight, who made a 939 OPS and pitched 47 innings, and Curry Sutherland, who led the team in ERA with a 2.65. And he started 38 games in the field. That's huge to return. They also return 2 of their 3 starters, Michael Yusupchak and Tyler Charlton, both of which made 10-plus starts last year and accounted for 128-plus innings. They retain a lot of the bullpen as well. This is my darling team in 2026. I'm going to go out there right now. They're going to win the Missouri Valley. I think Murray State lose a little bit too much. Joey Hawkins in year 2 is going to do another fantastic job like he did in year 1. He played in the program. He was the hitting coach in the program. He's finally taken over as head skipper. When you have those legacy coaches, things seem to click rather quickly. We saw it with Coastal Carolina last year and Kevin Schnall. Joey Hawkins kind of falls into that conversation. I'm so excited about Missouri State next year. They're going to be my 4 seed to win a regional. I'm going out and saying it right now. They're going to find their way into a regional. They're going to win the Missouri Valley, and I think they're going to make a ton of noise in the postseason. That is a team that is so upperclassman laden and so returner laden. You don't want to see them, especially when you start to bring out the two-way guys with a 34-man roster restriction.
Yeah.
That's
something.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Mark. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good, man. I was just gonna say, this team feels like Murray State last year, right? Like where they had all this talent that was returning, and they're going to add in a few pieces. And these guys know what it takes to win. They've been in the conference for a year. They keep building. I'm very excited. I think that you nailed it there, Will. Jared, what do you want to add on to?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, when we interviewed Dan Skirka, Murray State's head coach, he talked about that in the interview. It was like how all these guys were just playing for each other. Like the reason no one wanted to run into Murray State is because like those dudes didn't give up. And like Murray State. I'm getting Missouri and Murray confused here. But yeah, like no one wanted to run into Murray State because like those dudes just wanted to play for each other and they had nothing to lose. Like this is the best moment of their entire career. They're likely not, like even Dustin Mercer said in his press conference, like I'm not probably going to play pro ball. This is it for me in Omaha. So like that was a team you just did not want to run into.
Yeah, bunch of 21, 22-year-old guys who are hanging it up after the season and never playing again and probably picking up the coaching hat or the clipboard. It's exciting to see, and I think that's what we're going to see out of Missouri State. So very pumped. Last region we're going to talk about here, and there's a lot of teams here, so I think both these guys are going to name a few teams. But I'm going to start with Jared in the Southeast for mid-majors. There's a lot of baseball down there that's really, really talented.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the Govs of Austin Peay. This is a team that Roland Fanning, like if you watch him on Twitter, he's just kind of a psychopath with his videos, but like in a good way. Like the dude's just super energetic, loves coaching college baseball, will do anything to advocate for his players or his teams. And like this is a team that won 45 games last year, 45-14 overall, 26-4 on the conference. So I just think they're going to do the same in the Atlantic Sun Conference again this year. They returned 5 everyday starters to their lineup in 2026. It's going to be led by their redshirt junior infielder, Ray Velasquez, who also put up video game numbers, posted a 12.07 OPS, hitting 9 doubles, 18 home runs, and 57 RBI. And they also bring back their ASUN Freshman of the Year, Cole Johnson. So he slashed 347, 429, 563 with 22 doubles, 8 home runs, and 68 RBIs. Then they also return Kyle Proctor, Andres Matias, and Trevor Connolly also. So it's just like they are fully reloaded. Like they're just loaded in this lineup. And it's like you bring those returners back and kind of how Will talked about it, like in the Creighton, like none of these guys left. They all stayed at Austin Peay because like want to win. They won 46 games last year. Like they know this is a winning environment that they can come and just succeed in. And I think where the question marks are going to be on the pitching side. So they lose Lyndon Glidewell, Jacob Weaver, Gavin Braunecker. So those guys all had 70-plus innings in the rotation for them last year. So they're really going to have to figure out like who's going to step up and replace those guys. But man, outside of that, they did well in the transfer portal, getting guys like Riker Walton out of Eastern Kentucky, Elijah Underhill, another big-time arm that's got some big-time stuff out of Eastern Kentucky as well. So we'll see if they were able to kind of supplement that rotation and those guys that they lost. But the offense is going to bang, and I think that team's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, I love it, man. Austin Peay, let's go Peay. It's great. I can't wait for them, the Govs. It's gonna be really good baseball there. Will, you want to throw in a Southeast team? I know you got something.
I do. I have a lot. Well, the AAC is kind of right up there. The American is really right up there with the Sun Belt. There's so much top tier talent in there. We can talk about, honestly, we can talk about that entire conference in its own episode. I am going to stick in the AAC for my pick for at least this first one. We're going to talk about East Carolina. Not only do we have the most electric, well, I shouldn't say the most, one of the most electric environments in the jungle. Greenville, North Carolina is a home for college baseball. They love their college baseball there. So much fun. Cliff Godwin put them up there with the best mid-major coaches in the entire country. A program that's really rich with winning that hasn't been to Omaha yet. And last year, quite honestly, to put it nicely, was not nice to ECU. But you have to remember, coming out of that 2024 season where they had Trey Savage and Zach Root, both of which left after 2024, Zach Root transferring to Arkansas, Trey Savage getting drafted and ending up playing in the World Series. So when you lose that, that's really tough to replace. I mean, you're losing two of the best pitchers in the entire country off of one team. So yeah, it's understandable that you finish 13-14 in the conference, but still with a winning record of 35-27 overall. They're bringing back Ethan Norby, probably going to be a preseason All-American, the AAC preseason pitcher of the year. He's going to headline the AAC on Friday nights, put together 14 starts last year, 90 innings to a 3.8 ERA. He opted to stay, and I think he's a guy that easily could have gone the Zach Root route and left. And to get him to stick around, I think is huge for this program. And he's really going to pave the way. They also are going to return Sean Jenkins, who made 12 starts last year, and Nick Moran, who held down the bullpen last year with 17 appearances. The offense is going to be really, really fun, though. They're returning 7 of 10 qualified hitters from last year, and they averaged almost 7 runs a game. So when you return all of that talent, now we're going to kind of get back into ECU baseball that we're used to seeing. Braden Burris is back. He led the team in OPS with a 986. Austin Irby is back, who finished second on the team in RBI, OPS, and home runs. You have so many players that are back on this team, and this is a squad that I think you just have to look back for. I mean, this is a team that we're used to seeing host regionals, and for them to miss the postseason entirely, it's like, you start scratching your head. Is the NIL, is the portal kind of taking this team out? No, ECU is going to be right back where they belong in 2026. I firmly believe that.
I love that pick. And I'm staying in the ACC for my second team. Tulane Green Wave. Hard not to talk about him. We had Jay Ullman on not too long ago, and just talking with that guy and just hearing about what he's doing with that program has been awesome. I mean, this is a team that went 33-27 overall last year, went 13-14 in conference. So pretty much similar to kind of what ECU did, a couple games less winning. But Ullman took over this program in 2022, and they've gone to 2 regionals since then. And they won 2 American Athletic Conference tournament championships in 23 and 24. So they're starting to get back to winning baseball. We talked about historic programs that have a history of winning. Tulane is one of those programs in the early 2000s that was consistently winning games as a mid-major. I just think he is really going to take the next step with this team. They had the 16th ranked transfer portal class per 64 analytics. So yes, they lose shortstop Connor Rasmussen. They lose their two-way star Michael Lombardi, but they bring a ton back on the offensive side as well, or through the transfer portal, I mean. And so on the offensive side, they do return some big bats like Jason Walks, who slashed 335, 457, 479 with a 937 OPS, kind of a legit top of the order type bat. They also bring back senior infielder Kaikia Harrison, who's going to play a significant role for them as well. And then the transfer bats are really where it gets interesting. They bring in Ty Wood from New Mexico, Trent Leos from Northwestern, and Brett Rowell from West Florida. Ty Wood's a guy who posted a 964 OPS at New Mexico. Also kind of like that table setter profile. Good leadoff type hitter, had a 469 OBP. Just a guy to really watch for this team. And then Leo Leos is going to bring some pop to that lineup. Will hopefully replace some of the thump that they lost. Hit 10 doubles, 16 home runs last year with Northwestern. And then Rowell, I don't think gets enough attention. This is a guy who posted an OPS over 1,000 with 14 doubles, 8 home runs, and 52 RBIs out of West Florida. Just a guy you should watch too. And then they bring in Nolan Narauki, a guy from Clemson who really struggled with injuries, playing time there. And should kind of play a significant role here with Tulane as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do offensively. I mean, they are bringing a ton of arms on the mound, which is where Tulane really cleaned up in the transfer portal. They bring in Liberty's Jack Frankel, Long Beach State's own guys, Tennessee Tech's Jack Bravo, Wagner's Jake Toporek, and Dennis and Sam Larson. So like they've really loaded up on depth of arms, and these are guys that were all highly ranked in the transfer portal as well. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what Jay can do with this team.
I can't wait for Tulane baseball.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. I mean, this is a team. I mean, you win 2 consecutive AAC championships in the tournament in dramatic fashion, nonetheless,
Yeah.
with the walk-off home runs every year. And it felt like last year it was going to be a three-peat in a very similar fashion. And when you reload in the portal the way he did, and such a genuine coach bringing in all the right guys, I think things are really going to click on all cylinders for them this year.
Yeah, I became a big Jay fan when he was up here in the Corvallis regional. I was like, who are these guys? Like, they didn't win a lot of games in conference. They go out and win the conference tournament, and then, man, competitive was what I took away. Just straight competition, and that guy cares about baseball. He's passionate. Will, who's your second team?
As much as I want to stay in the AAC, that's far too boring, so I'm not going to. We're going to go back to the ASUN with Stetson, because the ASUN got 2 tournament teams last year. Saw Stetson's season end in the Auburn regional last year. In tragic fashion, we'll talk about that conference championship game against Florida Gulf Coast, where they technically lost, but Florida Gulf Coast was not awarded the auto bid due to the game finishing in 6 innings. The committee made a final decision to not include Florida Gulf Coast, despite technically winning the championship game. So Stetson got their way in, lost in the regional. This was a really fun team last year, man. I mean, this is a team that consistently challenges and beats the Floridas and Florida States of the world. They won 41 games last year. Steve Trimper, been there for 10 years. This will be his 11th, a 282 and 194 record in those 10 years. This is his 28th season as a head coach in Division I baseball. He knows what he's doing. This is a team that lost a ton last year. You lost ASUN pitcher of the year in Jonathan Gonzalez, who was a walking win on Friday nights, 10-2 to a 1.83 ERA, 105 strikeouts in 93 innings. They also lose their closer and main bullpen arm in Ty Van Dyke, who racked up 75 strikeouts in 41 innings, just ridiculous numbers. They do return 2/3 of the rotation behind Gonzalez. James Hayes and Ethan Phillips combined for over 100 innings last year. That's big time for them. They lose 7 starters on offense. They lose a lot of offensive production. Foster Apple and Juan De La Cruz are back. They combined for 75 RBIs just a year ago. But this is a team that's strung together 2 consecutive 40-win seasons, 3 35-win seasons. And Steve Trimper, we know what he's done historically, dating back really to 2018, even when they won almost 50 games in 2018. This is a team that I'm never going to count out. It's hard to say like who is going to fill what role right now, just because when you lose 7 of 9 starters and you lose so much on the pitching side, it's hard to kind of figure out who's going to slot where, who's going to step up, who's going to play what role. But this is a team that also has been very notably a winning program, and I think it's hard to count them out, even despite the losses after 2025.
Yeah, I mean, just really good baseball in the Southeast. There's just so much talent down there and so many players, and these guys stay around. The Hatters are for real. There's some really good ball clubs. And we talk about several teams that have the possibility of winning over 40 games, and then several teams that did win 40 games last year. So very, very excited. Folks, if you have enjoyed this preview, this is just the first of many. We're going to do the Power 4 conferences, and we're going to do the Sun Belt also. These are all coming in the next few weeks. Very excited for college baseball. Go watch them on YouTube. Go watch them on Twitter. Go see our reels on Instagram and on TikTok. Like the content. Let us know. Connect with us. Reach out to us. Ask us questions. We love that connection with our fans here and really the game of college baseball. I mean, we are very excited that we're getting started and we're 38 days away. But boys, let's talk about some things here. Let's go through who you guys think are going to be some of these superlatives for these players. We're going to go through, and I want you guys to give me a player from each region. You guys can do 2 from the Southeast because we know how much talent's down there. So, but let's start here with Player of the Year candidates, and we're going to start in the same exact region here where we started. So we're going to start in the Southwest with you, Will.
Yeah, that is a great question. I have to look at DBU here. And I think it's going to come out of DBU. As much as I love talking about UTSA and we have so much talent coming back for UTSA, I think it's going to end up being DBU. Chayton Krause is a guy that I really want to talk about. He's a 5th year. He's back again. He was first team all conference last year in Conference USA. He posted a 358, 415, 626 slash line with 16 doubles, 16 home runs, 66 RBI. He's going to be the force in the middle of that Patriots lineup. And for me, it's a guy that I don't know how you're going to get out, and quite frankly, and especially entering his 5th year of college baseball. those are the guys, when we watch Ben Miller at Duke kind of deal, like you watch these guys that are fifth years, and it's grown men playing against 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. And it really shows when you get down to it, and especially when you get into the postseason. So Chayton Krause is going to be my pick out of Dallas Baptist.
I love it. That's a good one there. I mean, he could be a breakout star also, but I like player of the year candidate here. All right, Jared, I'm going to you now. Give me that team from the Northeast. Give me that player from the Northeast you think could just be a stud this year.
Tyler Minnick. I mean, I already talked about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about the slash line, the 355, 437, 734. He was the major reason that UConn offense thrived last year. Again, 11 doubles, 22 home runs, 74 RBI. He is going to be an absolute force in that lineup. And I think he's going to be in conversations for preseason All-American as well. Whether it's first, second, third team, that's kind of still up in the air. But he is a guy who should be in that conversation. He's earned that right to be in that conversation. And I don't think there's anywhere close in the Northeast to Tyler Minnick and chasing him for that player of the year.
Yeah, I think that's the direction you have to go. Unfortunately, if you're picking anything else, you're like, well, let's go out on the ledge. No, it's safe. You can just go Tyler Minnick and go, he's going to be the best player in that area. I have a tough time here because, Mikey Bell did win player of the year in the WCC last year, and I think that he's going to be a stud again. But I'm going to go to a guy that I think a lot of people, myself included, were shocked that he did not go pro last year. And Ben Ziegler-Namoa from Hawaii. This guy's a stud, huge baseball guy, loves the game, loves the island. He's from there, just loves being a part of that team. He could be an absolute stud. And the reason why we might be talking about Hawaii hosting a regional is because this guy's leadership, his ability on the field, and just what he brings in the calmness to that team. I really wanted to make sure that we highlighted a guy like a Ben Ziegler-Namoa just because he means so much to Hawaii. And the fact that he came back and didn't go in the draft last year and decided he wanted to come back I think it shocked all of us on this panel that he was not just going to pro ball. So very excited that he came back to Hawaii this year. All right. Midwest. Will. Give me a Midwest team.
Yep,
Player.
I'm gonna go JP Peltier out of
Yeah.
Wright State.
That's a good one.
Belted 20 home runs, 69 RBI, finished both on the team in both categories last year. Also had 24 stolen bases. He was a 2020 guy in a 60-game season. Like, how often do you see that? Not a lot. And he comes back. I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to be the best player in the horizon, dare I say, and really is going to be. I think he's going to end up being player of the year as well.
Yeah, shocked he didn't end up on a Big Ten roster somewhere there. But again, winning programs, man. These guys are keeping their guys, and that's a big guy there and a 2020 guy. Jared, I'm going to let you start with a Southeast guy, and I'm going to let Will finish with a Southeast guy also. So you guys can each have one here for player of the year candidates.
Yeah, this is going to be tough because there's a lot of talent here in the Southeast, but I think I'm going to go with Andre Martinez out of Bethune-Cookman. Guy slash 353, 424, 725 with 1150 OPS. That's 14 doubles, 20 home runs, 64 RBIs last year. He walked almost as much as he struck out. This dude, I watched him in the SWAC tournament when I was down there for the SEC tournament. Just mashes baseballs and plays with a ton of passion, man. Like, he hit that walk-off to send Bethune-Cookman to the NCAA regional. Just an incredible human being. He's also 24 years old, so he's just going to be out there mashing on guys. And it's just going to be awesome to watch.
Gave Florida State a scare last year, like in the regional. Like, that was like a very good baseball team. Love that. Will finishes off with another Southeast player for player of the year.
That was going to be mine if Jared didn't take him, but I figured he would. So I'm going to go with the AAC preseason player of the year, Dawson Bryce out of Charlotte, who I didn't get to touch on. They're going to be unbelievable again this year. Put up a 989 OPS last season, 80 hits, 14 home runs, 53 RBI. He's got a loud and fast swing, and man, when he connects with the barrel, that thing goes far. And I think he's going to be a stud in the AAC. He might be the best hitter in that conference. I know he was rated as such, but I think it's just going to come to fruition, and he's going to mash all season long.
Charlotte's had a history of some offensive dudes who absolutely rake, so I love it, man. Get after it. Get after those home run balls. It's a ballpark that the ball flies out of, so that could be some big numbers there. We're going to switch gears here now to best pitcher of the year candidates. So kind of thinking of a guy, that might be out there in these areas. And really, again, we're starting in the Southwest with you, Will.
Yep. Now I'm going to go over to UTSA. Robert Orlowski is back.
Yeah.
72 innings last year, 77 strikeouts, held hitters to a 2.12 average, 2.12, 3.36 ERA. The kid is a stud. He did it at every single stage. He did it in the super regional. He did it in the regional. He did it in conference play. He did it against Texas. Like he just shoves against really, really good teams, and he's going to continue to do so in 2026. I think he's the best pitcher in the conference. I think he's the best pitcher in the region.
Yeah, and beating up Texas like that in a regional in Austin, yeah, that left you so with some feelings if you're a Texas fan going, how did we not keep this kid, or how did we not get this kid and get him on campus? Rough one there. Pitcher candidate here for you for the Northeast, Jared.
Same thing as Tyler Minnick. It's an easy choice. It's Jack Oman out of Yale. Same in the great state of Connecticut. This kid, again, video game numbers, man. 1.34 ERA. Yes, in a 0.88 whip. And you heard that right, 0.88 in 73.2 innings. This wasn't like he just pitched 10 innings and then just didn't let anybody on base. It's over 73 innings, and he struck out 87 batters during that. It's a swing and miss stuff, like 93, 96 mile an hour fastball, slider, cutter, and then a changeup. He's able to execute that entire arsenal for strikes as well. Just in for a massive sophomore campaign. He's not eligible for the MLB draft until 2027. Luckily for Yale, they'll get him for like another 2 years. He seems like fully committed to staying at Yale as well. Didn't go into the portal last year. Just likes playing for the Yale Bulldogs. That's a winning team in the Ivy League. They won the Ivy League last year. So Jack Oman, got to watch this kid, man. It's electric factor every time he's on the mound.
He had more strikeouts per innings than walks and hits per innings.
Yeah.
That's how good this dude was up there at Yale. You're striking out more people than you're giving up walks and hits per inning is insane over that many innings. 73 innings of work. That's craziness. That's straight up chaos. I love it. That's a really good pick. Man, this one's hard for me out west because there's some studs. You could go Isaiah Magdaleno out there in Hawaii. You could go with my guy who I've been super high on, Ricky Ojeda out of UC Irvine. But I think you got to go Jackson Flora from UCSB. He could be one of those guys that rises up on draft boards. He worked on his fastball a little bit. We all know that the swing and miss rate was not good on the fastball last year, so he really changed his grip a little bit. Going to go almost a little bit more two-seam than that four-seam fastball, getting some more break on it, a little bit more ride on it. I think that he's going to have a massive campaign this year before the draft for UCSB, and Ricketts out there at UCSB. I think that he's going to have a massive season. I think all signs point to Jackson Flora for me, so that's the direction I have to go. Even with all those other guys out west that are really, really good, I think you have to go Jackson Flora. We're going to go right now back out to the Southwest. No, we did Southwest. Sorry, Midwest.
Midwest.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out to this guy, and I'm not going to pick him only because I already picked somebody from Wright State, but we got to talk about Cam Allen because realistically, I think he's the best pitcher in the conference. We got to talk with Cam this offseason. Outdueled Vanderbilt in a regional. He made 13 starts last year, racked up 71 strikeouts to a 4.95 ERA in 67 innings. I'm going to go deep cut here, though. Being from Wisconsin, I'm going to pick a player out of UW Milwaukee. I'm going to go with left-handed pitcher Riley Peterson. He was a bullpen arm last year, put up a sub-2 ERA, a 1.83 over 29 and a third innings to a 2.31 average. He was just a true freshman last year. He's going to be a sophomore this year. He's going to step into that rotation role. I think he's sneakily going to be up there as one of the better pitchers in the Horizon League, and he's got really funky stuff. He's got a low arm action with a good fastball, really nasty wipeout slider. He's a guy I've got my tabs on for this year, and they open up at LSU this season, so I think you're going to see him on Friday night against LSU, and it's going to be a real test, and I'm really excited to see him play. But again, I got to shout out Cam Allen as well.
Nobody can say Will's not a certified ball knower / lover of the game with how wide that net is being cast this year, Will. I love it. I love that you're going out there on the limbs here on these ones. I mean, that's what this is for, getting out there and promoting some of these dudes that maybe we haven't heard of. I love it. Southeast, Jared, give me your first one here, and then I'm going to switch over to Will for the second one.
Give me Ben Blair out of Liberty. This is a guy who's pretty high on our draft boards as well. Posted a 3.67 ERA last year, 94 strikeouts in 83 and a third innings over 15 starts. Just like anchors that staff for Liberty. He's got a legitimate ace profile. It's power fastball, swing and miss secondary stuff. And he's got the confidence on the mound as a pitcher that you want to have out of your Friday night guy. So the ability to miss bats, like he manages to limit the hard contact. He's able to pitch deep into games. Like, he's really going to set himself apart from the rest, I think, in the Southeast. And give me Ben Blair.
Giving Liberty a chance to win every single Friday, and that's a big deal
Yeah.
out there. Anytime you can do that in mid-major ball, if you can give your team a chance to win by you just being there, it's a big thing. Will, pitcher, Southeast.
Yeah, another guy that when you give the ball to on Friday nights, you know exactly what you're going to get. Give me Evan Dempsey out of Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah,
a sub-2 ERA last year, a 197 over 68 in 2/3 innings with 75 strikeouts. Yes, he's a two-way. Yes, I called him the Shohei Ohtani of college baseball last week. But give me Evan Dempsey as top pitcher in the Southwest region. He's super fun. Obviously, we could go on and talk about Ethan Norby, all these guys that are really high draft picks. Evan Dempsey is just fun college baseball at its finest.
Yeah, we're the Evan Dempsey show apparently because we just love how he plays, and I mean it's impressive. We got to talk about the guy when he's that good, and he had the 2 ERA right there, two-way player, tremendous. Okay, now I want a breakout star or a freshman. I'll let you go either direction because this can go really all over the board. There's so many options you can choose, and some guys, that maybe have been transferred in, or maybe some guys that might just break out and be really good in that region. There's some freshmen that can be all over the place. So I'm going to open it up for a lot of different things, and I'm going to start with the Southwest with you, Will.
Man, that is a really tough question.
Yeah. We got to dive deep.
I can start out west if you guys want. Give you guys some more time to think. I can start out west.
Give me
I'll go west. I'll start it out here. There's some guys that have transferred in that I think that could be big decision makers here for this. And I think that there's some guys you're going to take a look at for the San Diego State team. The guy that I loved for Oregon State last year, and Levi Jones, who really, in his at-bats and his opportunities, was huge. When they were in Arkansas 2 years ago playing down at the Texas shootout in the early tournament, he was the guy they brought in when it was a tie ball game and they had bases loaded, 2 outs. They bring in a freshman off the bench to pinch hit, and it's Levi Jones. I think this guy has the ability to be a superstar. I think that him getting the opportunity to play at San Diego State this year under Kevin Vance in that newly vamped offense, he's going to be a stud. So give me Levi Jones, I think, to be this breakout player in the West Coast here. Will, are you ready now for a Southwest player that you think can break out, or maybe
I'm ready on the Northeast
player? Let's go Northeast then, Jared.
Yeah,
I got you.
One.
I know I'm tough, man. I don't go easy on these.
He is a starter, so it's not necessarily a breakout player, but I don't think enough people paid attention to him. And it's shortstop Reese Maroney out of Rhode Island, slash 356, 464. 462 with a 927 OPS with 12 doubles, 3 triples, 2 home runs, 42 RBIs, and 24 stolen bases. Like, this is a kid who I was talking to Brian Recca, who used to be with us at Prospects Live. Like, he's legit MLB draft prospect this year. I think he's going to be 21 on draft day, so he's eligible this season as a sophomore. Went to the Cape Cod League this summer, only had 22 plate appearances, but in those 22 plate appearances, slash 400, 500, 400 with a 900 OPS in the Cape Cod League. So I feel like this is a kid who's just not getting enough attention as how good of a draft prospect he is. Doesn't flash a ton of power, but the hit tool is absolutely legit. He walked 45 times and struck out 46 times in 287 plate appearances. So it's a kid who knows how to swing it, has a great eye and good patience at the plate. Like, this is a guy we need to be paying attention to in the Atlantic 10.
I like it. Breakout star. I love those. Guys we don't talk about enough. That's what this category is for. Talking about some guys that maybe haven't had the best opportunities yet or haven't been seen by the eyes, and that's a guy. Will, are you ready now for me in the Southwest?
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
it's tricky.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to go over to Lamar for this one. We're going to go with Chris Oliver, starting pitcher out of Lamar. Now, he's not a freshman. He is a senior. He made a handful of starts last year, but held hitters to a 236, a 339 ERA. It's just a guy that really plugged away for a Lamar pitching staff that, quite honestly, was unbelievable last year. They had a team 4.33 ERA. All 3 starters had a sub 3.5 last year. It's a program that I feel like didn't get a lot of eyes outside of the one scare they'll give LSU or Texas in a midweek. We kind of get to talk about them every year, but a program full of players that fly under the radar. So give me Chris Oliver.
Love it. Are you ready for your Midwest?
Yep.
I figured you had a better idea of who you wanted on that one already. So, and then we'll go to the Southeast for you guys to each pick one there.
Yep. I am going to go. Well, I should have used Riley Peterson for this one because that would have made a lot more sense. I am gonna stick with. I'm gonna stick with the Panthers of UW Milwaukee here. Sophomore infielder Tate Schmidt. He was a true freshman last year. He made 41 starts last year. Really good at hit tool. Really fun in the infield. He's a guy that I think can break out for this Panthers team that, quite honestly, doesn't return anything. They only return 2 qualified hitters, and he's one of them as a true freshman making 40 starts last year. So he's a guy I've got my tabs on as well. Really talking about UW Milwaukee a lot, but it's the only D1 school in the state, so I got to give him some love on this show.
That's fair. That's fair. And a lot of the guys that are in the Midwest, they're returning players. So, and we already know the stars. Like, we might see some new ones, and we want to see some new ones break out. But there's a lot of talent. It's just guys we already know about. Southeast, Jared, who we got?
I'm going to go with someone from the Tulane Green Wave here on the mound. Transfer, Jake Toporek out of Wagner. Came from Wagner, goes to Tulane. Just think about how Tulane has kind of developed the arms. You look at what they did with Michael Lombardi last year. This is a kid who went 8-1 in 87 innings, 87 and 2/3 innings, and posted a 3.49 ERA for Wagner. This is a kid I can see taking those next strides with Tulane, with the coaching staff at Tulane, with Jay. Maybe we'll get a little bit more strikeouts from him, but I think he's a guy that people need to be paying attention to. Probably a shoo-in for this rotation, especially now that they lose Michael Lombardi out of there. I think Jake Toporek's going to make some noise next year for them.
Yeah, if he can get the swing and miss numbers up, that's a for sure stud out there, and I like that pick there, especially with how many innings he can get up. 87 and 2/3 he ate up last year. That's a lot of innings there for a college arm. Will, breakout player in the Southeast?
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Western Kentucky is a team that really got pillaged in the portal. I know we talked about a lot of teams that retained their talent. They lost a lot from last year. That was a team that was top 5 in ERA last season. They had an unbelievable offense led by Ryan Weidman, who is no longer there. I'm going to go with their catcher, though. Give me Camden Ross out of Western Kentucky. Very few returners on that team, but he's a guy I think can anchor down the pitching staff. He can anchor it down at the plate. He did make a handful of starts last year as well. He appeared in 51 games, 191 at bats to a 848 OPS, but I think he's a guy that is just going to see the opportunity to fill big shoes, and he's going to do it. And this is a guy that really hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities at Western Kentucky up until last year. So I think he's going to have a big year. I'm really excited to watch him play. And he's from my home state, so I got to give him a little shout out too.
Fair. Still giving the Midwest love there. Love it. All right. Now we're going to talk about some coaches, and this can be from any region, guys. And I want you guys to think of a coach that could be on the short list for some P4 jobs after this year. I know that, we talked about the Sun Belt, but I think that those guys, we're going to have a whole show about them, and I think that they're all talented, and I think that any of those guys could be taken. But I hope that they don't, because the Sun Belt really could be the 3rd best conference. I think when you look at these guys, you're talking about a guy who maybe has an opportunity to be great at the next level. A guy I don't think is going to leave, and I'm going to mention him from out west here, is Ben Orloff from UC Irvine. Back-to-back 40-win seasons, does things the right way, really good program out there, has taken the Anteaters to some regionals and been really successful in season. Hasn't got over that hump yet, but I think that if a Power 4 program really wanted to be great, I know that he's from that conference and he really wants to be there at UC Irvine, but it wouldn't surprise me if somebody decides to reach out to Orloff and ring that phone and say, hey, well, let's talk about some deals here in the Power 4 conferences. Jared, any idea on who you have for a coach that you think might get some phone calls?
I think this one's kind of easy because he's been talked about multiple times for roles at Power 4, and that's Mike Lavin out of Northeastern. He's 357 and 220 in his coaching career at Northeastern. They've somehow kept him around, but he had 49 games last year, 38 wins the year before that, 44 wins the year before that, 31, 36. The worst season he's had there is his first season where they went 25-30. And after that, he's had a winning season every single season except for 2019 where they went 28 and 29. This is a guy who just wins baseball games. Northeastern baseball has been on the map for years because of Mike Lavin and the players and coaches and staff that he's been able to bring into that program and turn things around. I just feel like he's kind of an easy choice. Jim Penders is going to be my other one, but he's had multiple opportunities and he just continues to stay at UConn. So I feel like he's happy with coaching the rest of his life at UConn. I wouldn't be surprised by that. He's built something special there, so why not stay? But yeah, I think Mike Lavin's the guy.
Will, coach, you think might get some knocks?
This is one that I go back and forth with, but it's always a guy that I feel eventually will move on, and it is going to be Cliff Godwin out of East Carolina. He played at East Carolina, is entering his 12th year as head coach there. Don't forget, he had a 3-year stint at Ole Miss as a coach. I think there's a legitimate chance that potentially, if that job opens up, he might be first on the list to get the call. And I don't know. I go back and forth because I would be surprised if he left, given his history with the school, given his history with the program. They have yet to knock down that Omaha door while he's been there. But again, it kind of gives that Mike Glavin kind of vibe. I feel like you hear his name in a lot of conversations when these big jobs open up. And I feel like for him, it's just the right one. And it might very well be Ole Miss and kind of return back to a spot where he was able to be an assistant coach at.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, they've just built winning programs and they know how to win. So it would have to be something special for them or something that they connect to leave a lot of these programs. Give me a dark horse team that will surprise people in 2026. And by surprise, I mean, win a regional where we had a lot of mid majors. I'm not necessarily saying they got to get to Omaha, but a team that might surprise a bunch of people out here all over the country in the 2026 year. Jared, I'll start with you if you have a team that's ready to go for your dark horse team. In the
I saved this team for this one. Georgetown, since I didn't talk about him in my Northeast preview. Yeah, they went 16-40 last year. They went 3-18 in conference, but this is a team that Coach Edwin Thompson has had back-to-back 30-plus win seasons. They've gotten draft picks like Everett Catlett. They've gotten draft picks like Jake Bloss, who's already made his major league debut. I think last year was a fluke. They won 36 games, like I said, in 2024. I just think Coach Thompson finally has that pitching staff back to where it should be after seeing them this fall against Maryland. His pitching staff posted a 7.25 ERA last year, which wasn't good. And that's with having like basically the Big East pitcher of the year in JT Rabb, who struck out 77 batters and 74 in the third innings. He comes back this year, so he's going to be anchoring that staff again. Thompson worked the transfer portal. They went out and brought Spencer Seed out of UC San Diego, a grad transfer, who posted a 4.79 ERA last year, struck out 71 batters and 56 in the third innings. Just a funky lefty who just comes at you with a bunch of stuff. Also dominated in the Cape Cod League this year. They also got another transfer, Trajan Lee from Trinity University, and a returner in Kai Lexas, who could also play a big role for the Hoyas as well. Kai only had 11 innings, I think dealt with some injuries last year, but had a 1.64 ERA in those 11 innings, so looked like he could have been a big piece for them. I think where the question marks will come for Georgetown are definitely on the offensive side. They really struggled with the bats last year. They do get Ashton Gilio and Connor Price. They can see if those guys can step up. Gilio hit 280 with 6 home runs and 39 RBIs last year. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of up his game a little bit. But they got some names in the portal like Dante Posey out of Catholic, Connor Peak out of Holy Cross, who can really kind of make up that left side of the infield for them. So it'll be interesting to see what they do offensively, but it seems like they got the firepower on the mound to hopefully win more than 16 games this year.
Hey, if you have pitcher returning, you got some guys that can go out there and get you some good starts. I mean, that's good. That's the way to go win ball games in baseball. We know pitching and defense plays all the time. Will, who's that surprise team?
Man, I already tipped my hand because I said it when I was talking about this team, but it's going to be Missouri State. They're the 4 seed to win a regional in 2026. The Cinderella team, the America's darling of 2026, is coming out of the Missouri Valley again in 2026, just like it did in 2025 with Murray State. Joey Hawkins, unbelievable head coach, like I talked about. They're returning just far too much talent for this team to not make noise. This is one of those teams that when you see that bracket release on Selection Sunday, you're going to go, oh, shoot, look who we drew. And they're going to come into your place and they're going to walk away with a regional win. I'm booking it. I'm putting it in pen yet again. Give me the Missouri State Bears to notch a regional win. I think this is a really scary team with a really good head coach and a really, really fun squad of returners.
I like it. I'm going with a team that I saw live in person last year and was really taken away just how awesome that their facilities are. They're building this place back up. This used to be a stable for baseball in the Northwest up here. Washington State, Wazoo, up in Pullman, up in the Palouse is awesome. It's fantastic to go watch the baseball up there. Coach Nathan Choate has struggled a little bit here in the first 2 years under Washington State, trying to get this team going. They went out and they got a lot of JC guys. They had a lot of freshman arms. Those guys are all back for another season of this team. Yes, they only had 18 wins last year, but I think Washington State Cougars are going to be really, really good, and they could be the surprise team that gets past Nevada and San Diego State, the Fresno States out of the Mountain West. I think if you're talking about a surprise team that could shock the world here a little bit, that people maybe are not paying enough attention to, it's Washington State. They have the facilities, they have the players, they have the team. Max Hartman returns, and he's an All-American type outfielder for them. I'm really excited for this Washington State team this season. All right, boys, we've done it. We've gone through the whole preview here of all the mid-majors. Very excited. We got some more coming. I want to hear your final thoughts for these mid-majors as we go into this. Will, I'm going to start with you on just your final thoughts for the mid-majors and how great college baseball has extended to these teams.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because I think in a lot of sports in the NIL and transfer portal era, we've seen mid-majors get lost in the shuffle a little bit. And March Madness is always going to be March Madness when you're playing one game against another team, and it's college basketball. It's 18 to 22-year-olds. Teams are going to make big runs like that. Baseball is so fascinating because it's always going to be a series. It's always going to be either a best of three, etc. And I think that is the wrinkle that is so important to understand in college baseball when you see these mid-majors go on runs, because they're not just beating a really good team one time. They're going out there and beating them twice on the road in a true road environment against a team that gets a true home advantage. And I think that you're seeing these teams get creative in the way that they're recruiting. They're recruiting from either different mid-majors and or different divisions entirely. We're seeing schools like UW-Whitewater pump out Division I guys every single year. We're seeing schools like UConn, like I touched on, perfect that craft of bringing in Division III guys. And I think that's just going to keep happening. And mid-major baseball is as good as it's ever been, despite Fullerton not being where they normally are, and the Long Beach States of the world maybe being a little bit down. But we're seeing mid-major baseball as a whole being the best it's ever been. We had 2 mid-major teams in Omaha this year.
Yeah, I think that we're on the rise for mid-major again. I think we're getting back to where any of these teams could be a team that makes a run at Omaha. That's how much talent there is in college baseball today, and the fact of the 34-man rosters, it's going to disperse down to the mid-major teams. I can't wait. I think it's tremendous. Jared, do you want to throw in any of your last thoughts here for this upcoming mid-major season?
No, I'm just excited for college baseball, man. Like, it's going to be an awesome 2026. I always love watching the mid majors. Georgetown's right around the corner. We got a few others in this area as well. Get to go up to Rhode Island a lot. So you got Brown, Rhode Island up in that area as well. It's just going to be a fun season, man. And really excited to kind of see mid-major baseball grow. I think it's an opportunity for a lot of kids, especially with the Power Fives really bringing in the transfer portal, to get playing time. Like, go see what they can do at these mid-major schools, help these mid-major programs grow, and maybe these mid-majors can start being more of like feeders to the SEC and the ACC. I know that's not exactly what we want to see, but I mean, you get good freshmen going to mid-major programs, those programs are going to become good. And so just excited to see what mid-major baseball can do this year.
Yeah, I can't wait. One thing I do want to touch on, big guy for Portland baseball, Joe Etzel passed away this week. The field's named after him. He was a big Northwest baseball guy and really promoted the game. Tremendous athlete, fantastic for the Portland Pilots for a long time. Just tragic that he's gone now from us, but we'll remember how great he was and how big he was for the Northwest and what he did for college baseball, and just excited to celebrate his life and going forward. And University of Portland's done a tremendous job of rebuilding that field and getting it all set up and naming it Joe Etzel. So excited for more conference previews, guys. Go like, subscribe, take a look at our stuff. Again, we got more and more stuff coming out. We got all the conference previews coming out the next 3 weeks. We're going to see every conference, Sun Belt, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and ACC. They're all coming for you guys, along with our top 25 that will be released very soon, and we'll do a show for that as well. So can't wait, guys. We'll see you probably in a few weeks.